Welcome back to the channel. All right, it's time to do the top 1 through 15 champions in MCoC. This will be completely based on my thoughts, my feelings. It's not going to be weighted towards certain modes like battlegrounds, fun, all that stuff, although fun is definitely a key component. It's going to be just how I evaluate the game, not with the MCoC Illuminati's input. And then, of course, we'll be finishing off this series with the general tier list after all the MCoC Illuminati has gone through, stress tested this, done their own top 10s, those sorts of things. So we'll be finishing this off just a day later. Additionally, make sure you've entered the contest to win the free 6-star relic that I will be giving away. Basically, watch all the videos, comment on them, show that you've watched them, you understand them, give some constructive criticism so we can improve these videos each and every single year. And then if you make me laugh, you do even better. And then last but not least, a massive, massive thank you to MystiKay. I hired her a few months ago to start doing almost all of my thumbnails when she doesn't do them because I'm rushing or trying to get out something like super, super fast. I'm sure you can notice the quality is not as good. This is the quality that she does. I am incredibly, incredibly grateful. It has allowed me to focus on my videos and I get out a significantly better thumbnail. This is work I could never do on my own. If you have any thumbnail work, graphic design work, please contact her. You'll be doing yourself a favor. See if she's available. The link to her contact is in the description of this. It's in all of my videos. Do yourself a favor. Go check it out. Misty, thank you so much. It is absolutely my pleasure to be able to work with you for this. Okay, let's go ahead and go through the top 15. Coming in at number 15, this is how you can tell it is definitely my influence, right? My thoughts, what I enjoy, what I'm using for war, battlegrounds, questioning all those things. This is not with the MCoC Illuminati's input, because I can tell you right now, they highly disagree with this. But at number 15 is none other than Crossbones. And continue with the way we did the 16 through 30 and the honorable mentions. I'm going to point out 1 or 2 things, and then we're going to talk about, do I think they're still going to be on this list when we do this update in June of next year, and then definitely January. And then, yes, the Illuminati t-shirts are in. I'm so excited to wear it. I'm so grateful for that group. I love those guys. All right, so one of the common misconceptions I see about Crossbones is people think like if you don't have a 6200 that he's not good. That it could not be farther from the truth. Even unawakened, this is a fantastic champion. Remember, he's reducing ability accuracy along with doing massive damage and the whole no crit thing and having a debuff off the SP2 and the SP1 hitting really, really hard. And the fact that there's a relic that helps him with his damage, of course, and the Black Widow and the ability accuracy. And then just having a striker allows him to make his play significantly easier because you have another opening to land your heavies and keep the Furies going. But aside from all of that, which I know, not that much. Actually, it is a ton. If and then you get him awakened, you start shrugging debuffs, which then also give you Furies. Meaning it's opening up a whole nother set of lanes and nodes that you can take. But here's the thing. I've shown you multiple videos, war fights doing hazard shift with him, where I purposely go and I trigger my overrun early, shut off the ability accuracy of the node, debuffs aren't landing on me, and I don't use them to power up. I just keep my Furies up. The ability accuracy of the node is turned off, and I don't get the debuffs at all. I think of this as being just another really awesome tool in his kit, more than it is what makes his kit work or come together, or he's definitely an awesome champion, even without it. I feel strongly he will be here in the top 30 next year. I guess there's a chance he's slowing down as like champions like Leader come out with their superior debuffs that can't be shrugged and all that stuff. But until that comes, Crossbones is a mainstay here. And that's because of what I literally just told you. Even without his awakened ability, this is an ability accuracy reducing monster who doesn't crit and does tremendous damage. That's pretty good. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 14, none other than everyone's favorite defender, the least controversial rebalance decision in MCoC, maybe ever. It's up there with 12.0, none other than my boy, the Serpent, that massive hammer, right? Let's just stare at him, watch him twirl around. He's a fantastic champion, right? Like, we've all been there, we know. He's a jerk as a defender. Now, when the rebalance information came out, I already had a rank 3 Chavez, rank 3 Kushala, and I think I was well on my way, if not already having a rank 3 Luke Cage, who I've shown you, all of them phenomenal answers to him. The 7-star Serpent, not as good with Luke Cage. That's not Luke Cage's fault, right? That's not really, he's a science champion there, right? And then we've got Shothra now. We've got White Tiger. I've shown you Werewolf, who's phenomenal. And then you've got Spiral. And if that's not enough, you now have Isophene. So everyone, if you don't have a Serpent counter yet, you're gonna have one really, really soon. And that's what's so cool about him, is he's also a good attacker. This is truly a dual threat champion, right? Like, you see the list of immunities. I know we see them as pain points because we're like, great, these are all the things I can't do against him. Well, these are all the fights that you can go in and take and not be worried about it. He has tremendous damage. He has the ramp up, like with his dread and the persistent charges, the Cold Force charges as well. And then here's channeling the Cold Force. There's a lot of ramp. We know this because we fight the guy. And then on specials, his attacks can go unblockable for 0.65 seconds. So you're wanting to hit into the block. Something that's fully unique to Serpent. I believe no one else in the game has this. Attacks with true focus, ignore, evade, and miss. So he can start handling evade and miss. He has tremendous ramp. We're using him in these Karena's challenges. If the opponent has a bunch of armor ups, you special 1. If they don't, if they have a bunch of armor ups, you special 2. If they don't, you special 1. And if it's a really long fight, you can go to your special 3 and just go in and just really beat the crap out of stuff. He's got the inexorable DLL in your hard words to say, that allows him to really play into what he's trying to do, which is get the opponent in the corner and beat the crap out of him. He's fantastic. He's an amazing dual threat. He's just not a nuke in Battlegrounds. And as I've said multiple times in these top 10 series this month, if the worst you can say about a champion is they're not a nuke in Battlegrounds, you might be dealing with a very good champion. All right, now we'll move on to the number 13 champion in MCoC. For me, it is White Tiger. Now, where is she? Why is she hiding? Stop hiding. I've shown you multiple videos. I've shown you that I believe she is one of the best champions. I'm going to figure out how to phrase this. She is completely worthy of your rank up resources. I believe my first rank 4 will be America Chavez because that's America Chavez. Like, it's an action figure. It's a doll, but I call it an action figure. Right there. I love the character. She's insanely powerful in this game. I show it to you all the time. We've moved to making that on the 4th of July, but this is about White Tiger. She's phenomenal, and she, without that love of America Chavez, she would be on my very, very short list for first champions to rank 4. She's outrageously fun to play. She has a power steal mechanic. She's immune to nullify, which is incredibly rare within her class. She can go unblockable. If you get more used to playing her, you get used to utilizing that to your advantage. There's a reason why she's one of my favorite Serpent counters, is because you can utilize that when he goes into his mortality to handle it, and you're just cycling your unblockables. And then I love this off of the SP2, just so insanely well designed. Right, while you get a bleed off the SP2, it does do damage. I do spec into deep wounds, so that's increasing the length that it's on. While this bleed is active, the opponent cannot heal, and their healing denied is transferred back to White Tiger up to 5% for max health. So it's helping you like top off in Battlegrounds. I've shown you in War, I've shown you questing, and I showed you the rank 2. And where I was going with that point is she punches up exceptionally well. She's throwing so many specials. She punches up well. I will want to rank her up because she's so worthy of them. But if I was really stuck between her and another champion, and I did not need White Tiger at a higher rank, I would probably continue to choose the other champion until I just wanted to rank up White Tiger, because White Tiger at rank 2 was already beating 7-star rank 3 Serpents for me. I still have not gotten out a rank 3 White Tiger showcase, because the rank 2 was so good. I was like, I need to show this to people so they can see if they're trying to make a similar decision, because I know we all are, right? We're getting rank up resources. We're trying to make that choice. She's phenomenal at rank 2. It's not that she's not worthy of your resources and going to rank 3 or rank 4. It's that she's already phenomenal at rank 2. That's how good she is. Now let's move on to number 12. And as I was saying, like, the Mystic class has just received so many upgrades recently. It's amazing. Power gain. We talk about power gain all the time on this channel. His power gain is immense, right? You just slide back, you let the howl come in, you're going to get your power up. You want to make sure you have a rupture on the opponent first. The cool thing is you can get a rupture on the opponent just by hitting into their block. Makes him a bit of a trouble on defense, right? He's a bit of a dual threat. I have him as an offensive leaning I think we learned his animations and things, but if you slip up against Werewolf, you're dead. Like you seriously, the ruptures are that hard that if he decides to do more than just a single hit combo into your block or something like that, you may die. That's how powerful he is. The higher his signature ability goes, the longer, sorry, you see the unblockable passive and the unstoppable passive will be happening. So that is great. It helps him with his dual threat nature. The higher the sig, the more the regen potency is going to go up. He's great for fighting. Again, he's well tailored for his intended matchups, which for champions that have buffs, because like I think the lycanthropy charges like pause or something. I don't remember specifically at the moment, but it's very helpful in staying in lycanthropy. And I think it's when you're like away from them. And in non-target matchups, like I use him to fight Onslaught all the time. A lot of us use him for matchups that aren't just class-based or like his specific target. He's a champion that we often talk about, like how the game is growing. It feels like they more and more want you to have the RPG counter, and that's fine. That's cool. That's the way the game is growing. There's 300 champions. He's a champion that is blunt force powerful enough, and that's because of the damage and the power gain. Those are both strong enough where he doesn't need to be the RPG answer. And then his specials last so long. He is one of my favorite serpent counters because he can like last through the immortality phase. Absolutely love him. He's going nowhere. He will be on this list next year. I'm confident. Then moving on, I like to joke about how she's the best content creator design champion of all time. I do think it's true. The little rub there is that I didn't actually design her, right? We all know it was actually DLL. That he bounced ideas off me. I got to witness the process. I'm so grateful I got to be part of it. It's hard for me to even remove my bias towards her. The really cool thing is that she's a DLL champion, so she's good. Like it's pretty much that simple. She has the dual immunity. She can handle combat power rate. She does have the blessings mechanics. And we talked about this, and he's like, hey, if I could do this, if I could do that. I said, I'd like to have to be able to play her well. I'd like her to be very DLL style. It's a champion that, like, if you just play her simply, you're going to get good results. If you play her excellently, you're going to get superior results. And he definitely did that. If you are able to utilize her blessing system, you're going to be rewarded richly. Like you've seen me use her in Tier 1 War with SSX against war bosses, on hazard shift lanes against Serpent. You've seen me use her in Battlegrounds. I've used her in Necropolis soloing that Odin, who's really a big pain in the butt. She has the nullify off the SP1. If that's not working out for you, or if they're incinerate immune like a Maestro is, you can go to your SP2 and utilize the Soul Barb. The whole time, she is putting up her ignition buffs on the champion to take advantage of her Soul Barb. And then again, remember, with her blessings, she can block unblockable attacks. That's kind of a big deal. And you want to get that intercept, you want to land your heavy, and you are cooking with her. She is phenomenal, and then her signature ability allows her to actually place more powerful versions as passive. She's fantastic. She's great. I love her. She's going nowhere. Monster in Battlegrounds, monster in questing, monster in long form. What else do you want? All right, let's move on to the number 10 champion. And this is pretty wild considering how new in the game they are. And this might show a little bit of my bias. I'm okay with that. It doesn't show a bias towards certain modes. It might show just like, I'm not good at fighting Korok. I'm not good at fighting Natuma. I'm very, very bad at it. And this champion has come along, and she's so good at it and does enough damage on top of it if you play her well, that she is incredibly vital to me and my like success against those nodes. I've already shown you the new champion video. I showed you, and I told you I would be taking her to rank 3 day 1. I'd be awakening her day 1. I was able to test her. I was like, she's phenomenal. And I love what it is. She just turns off that problem of the physical damage back. Remember, this isn't going to work against like Electro or anything like that. That's why I awakened her. And I was so happy when I got the Mutant Awakening gem on Cyber Weekend. Also, she's immune to Nullify. Incredibly rare in her class, right? We just talked about that with White Tiger. It's kind of a big deal. Not Fate Seal and Sagar and all that, but Nullify. That's still on nodes and things, right? It's not just Mystic Champions. Additionally, she has things that is similar to Prowler that allow her to go outside of her class, or like make it more easy with Mystic Dispersion, because on her SB2, she removes her buffs, or she ends them herself. I don't remember what the exact wording was, but essentially it's not going to trigger Mystic Dispersion. She's fantastic, and if you can get her mechanics down, like her inputs on the music notes and things like that, and I have the SP1 and the SP2, and I actually have been able to. I find them much easier and more intuitive than like the visions. her damage is great enough. I'm ending fights. I'm taking out rank 3 Korgs, rank 3 Tumas, all the thing. And that's just the start. That's just the start. I will be getting out the rank 3 video on her. I feel very comfortable. You know, I usually have to start off a little more conservative with champions. I feel very comfortable that for me, she's easily a top 30 champion. And if you're like me you don't have a lot of those damage back mechanics, or maybe you're not great with the step back versus Korg or what have you, she really should be in your top 10. She is a fantastic, fantastic champion. I absolutely love her. Also, more examples of like how good 2024 was. I know I did the new champion 2024 video, and I think part of what caused some of the confusion on there was maybe not realizing how great 2024 is. Think about how many of the champions are already on this list. All right, let's go ahead and continue to move on. Speaking of 2024, this was my champion of the year for 2024 is none other than Prowler. I think this is, again, another champion where he's more than the sum of this kit, okay? Also, we didn't have the CCP testing map at the time. I think now, you know, being able to take him to SIG 200, show people what he'd be like as a rank 3 versus other rank 3s, seeing how much damage that SP2 does. Now, it depends on how you look at it. His signature ability, you get almost as much value out of it from like the last 20 signature levels as you do from the previous 160. So it scales. I mean, it is an interesting ramp, okay? You can see I'm putting my signature stones in. You know, I believe what I say. I mean what I'm saying. I will be taking him to SIG 200. I had thought about just doing it to 180. We'll see. Maybe that's where I'll end up. That way, if I pull that last one. But if I really am like, no, he's not ending fights. Because the fact is in Battlegrounds or in war, if you're able to go straight to your SP2, he is capable of just flat out ending the fight with it. That's insanely fast. The SP1 has that pursuit passive we were talking about with Dazzler, so you can just end any evade. Remember, it's not like an ability accuracy or anything like that, and it lives on Prowler's side, which I love. Additionally, his medium attacks without it still can't be evaded, so he's phenomenal for your dominoes, right? He's got the plus 15% ability accuracy, and then as I talked about briefly, with his ability to take on Mystic champions, when the opponent throws a special, he drains and power locks them, so they're not going to get Mystic Dispersion. He's great for these sorts of things. He's not going to, when you go in and punish and potentially lose your decks. I wanted to tie that all together for everybody. He's phenomenal. He's even got bleed and incinerate immunity, and then he's got the falter that it not only increases his damage, but it gives you openings. It's a way to help find openings. Outrageously well made. Once you get his loop, because that's what held me off on him, was I did not get his loop. It was a struggle. But once I practiced him more and played him more and I got his loop, it started coming to me intuitively. And then remember, non-contact mediums too. Not only cannot be evaded, they're also non-contact. So that damage back mechanic, he might help solve that for you. All right, let's go ahead and move on. The champion of the year for 2024. To none other than Mr. Sinister. He's fantastic. Another champion I just love in MCoC because where he's good, he almost feels broken. But he's also able to be shut down, right? This isn't Hercules 2.0. If the command wants to shut him down, you can't heal or stun immune is really one of the best ways to just get that done. And you can't like cheese it with the striker because the stun's not long enough for the striker stun. But if you can use those things, there might not be anyone better, right? You can get that massive degen. You have what Megatron called the hit minimization that is completely played out. I used him in incursions, and he was doing so much damage per hit that even as we kept going through incursions, it didn't matter that the defenders' attack pools, health pools, all those things were growing because the fights just didn't last that long, and the defender didn't get enough chance to get their threats online. They didn't get to their specials and all those things. He's great. He's bonkers. He's phenomenal. I'm glad I put the 6 stones into him. I do feel like it's enough. I've found my rank 3 Sinister doing plenty of work on the defensive side of the game, and then he's been great offensively as well. And like I said, I've used him in Battlegrounds. I've used him in questing. I've used him in incursions. He's a phenomenal, well-rounded champion. Great synergies. He can be shut down by Kabam, but where he's powerful, he's phenomenal. All of these champions, they're not moving down. You didn't make the top 10. I keep forgetting that part because I think it's just so obvious. They are not moving down. So just keep that moving forward because I'm so excited to talk about them. I realized I keep forgetting. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 7 and talk about champions that like where they work, they feel broken, but Kabam can shut them down. And having to do a stun immunity. How interesting, how strange. It's none other than the Gamma Brawler here in Hulk. I remember the day his buff went live. I was like, this is amazing. I definitely was like, I am taking an extended lunch and I'm just going to play the heck out of this champion. I got out, I think, an essentials video on him, which is basically like my tutorial. It's what it's now, basically the spicy meteor video, not spicy meteor. That would be bad. But you can do the stun lock. I'm practicing that off of the SB1, where essentially I don't get into my gamma rage, right, or my gamma mode. I use my special one. I get the stun, go in, and then use my heavy. If gamma or the rage mode doesn't kick in naturally in that first initial stun loop, I then throw my heavy to trigger it, another elongated stun. It's really come in handy, helping me take out champions that have like either unavoidable damage or things are just going to go wrong. So like Onslaught would be an example. Another one would be Enchantress, where it's just at some point I'm going to mess up her special one, or she's going to cause me to miss and I'm not going to be able to punch her heavy. Just nasty things coming online. He can just completely get around it. And then if you don't need to do that, of course you can go to your special 2 or your special 3, like against Assassi, if that's what you want to do. I've shown that multiple times, right? You inflict all these physical invulnerabilities, and the special 2 is going to inflict those trauma debuffs. He's bonkers. He's insane. I love him. I'm so glad he exists in the game. I'm totally fine with him. He is not broken. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. We'll just keep that to ourselves. Okay, let's move on to the number 6. Speaking of champions that are not broken, leave them alone. Do not yuck my yum. None other than Juggernaut himself. He's bonkers, right? And the really cool thing is, you don't need me to tell you how great he is in Battlegrounds. You know that. He's really great in questing. He can be great in war. I used him in that like challenge. I remember I was like, I'm going to learn to use Juggernaut. And it was a relatively long form one. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't Crucible anyways, but it was one of those like challenges, and the fights were relatively long. And he's just a monster, and he's incredibly fun to play. He's also, just like these other ones, easy to shut off, right? Anytime a non-damaging debuff gets put on, that can just be put on by the node very, very simply. He just gets turned off. You can go to your SB3 and get around it, but ain't no one got time for that, right? You're not playing Juggernaut because you want like a long, meticulous match. That's not where you're doing this. You want to get in, get your Unstoppables up, use it as a counter punch, punch, throw your SB2. And then the other thing is to keep in mind, the guy actually does have utility. Off the heavy is the stagger, which is great. And then if you have him awakened, you're getting a nice nullify. He's bonkers. He's great. He's amazing. I love him. He ain't going nowhere. All right, let's move on to number 5. This again shows you I am not being biased in this list. It might be biased by my experience, but I've got the vast majority of these champions. I enjoy playing them. You know, I forced them into Battlegrounds matchups. Like, I'm okay with it. I end up with a pretty good score no matter what. It's fine. And I enjoy doing this so I can test stuff out and get the information out to you. And I enjoy playing them all. They're really, really fun. I've talked openly about how like I was struggling to play her. I wasn't very good with her. I saw how good she was. Well, I've taken her to rank 3. I followed the advice of a lot of you all, and Old Man Easy, who even came out to the meetup. What's up, dude? That was awesome to meet you. And just started playing her more simply. I stopped worrying about getting to SB3 and then doing the specific combo to get all the way to SB2. I found, first of all, most of the time, just a simple SB2, opponents died, especially in Battlegrounds and in war. But if that didn't happen, I'd get to my special 3, and often the SB1 ends it. You have a lot of fun. She's clearly designed to be used with a striker, so that's great. She has I think what's going to be somehow an even increasing value in Battlegrounds in particular, because she's so well suited to beat up Rintra, who is now available as a 7-star. So I'm even more happy that I have Silk. She's even can kind of catch people off guard on defense a little bit with her evade. So she's not horrible there, but I get it. I see the light. She's awesome. I have her as the number 5 champion, according to me. Remember, not the Illuminati, me. The Illuminati full tier list will be coming out in just a couple days, so make sure you check that out as we present that for you with the full spreadsheet and the configurability from those spreadsheet wizards. They are amazing. All right, now moving on to the number 4 champion in MCoC, none other than Big Daddy Onslaught. He's one of those champions. He was the first champion, so far the only champion, that when they were coming to the game, I told you in the video, I was like, I'm not predicting he's going to get nerfed. He's the first champion I wonder, and I'm a little bit worried about, because he's so bonkers and turns off so many things. He has so many resistances, and the ability to, if they're like immune to the debuff, he puts on the passive. He does that to shrugs. He's very much taking over a lot of the space that like Bishop and Storm X occupied. They're still all good and have their uses, but dude, honestly, this guy just like does that and so much more. The Daunted comes into play. You SB1, You want to use your heavy when the opponent is not stunned, but he's so big, he's so beefy that like you can make them heavy basically by holding your block. They'll eventually heavy, and then you punish that with yours, and then you'll get the elongated pause for all of your stuff. And then you get to the SB2, do massive damage. And if you're using him in long form, which we're seeing a lot now with the current Karina's Necropolis challenges, you go to the SB3, and he's got tremendous ramp in long form too. I like his signature ability because it's increasing the Daunted potency, which is a large source of his damage, but so many people don't even awaken him because he's so good without it. And he's also a great defender. All that, he's also great. It's like, it's a mutant Kate Bishop. She's also a horrible defender and got terrible AI. Enjoy. So he's just a phenomenal champion. The worst thing about him is he's very rarely a nuke. The only time he's a nuke and super fast in Battlegrounds is if the opponent has abilities that purify stuns, and that allows you to ramp up faster. You have to look for less openings and things like that. He's great. I don't think he's broken. I really don't. I think he's OP. You know, I differentiate between those two things. I think he's good for the game. The designer did a beautiful job. Total chef's kiss, in my opinion, when it comes to Onslaught, progressing the mutant class forward, but not breaking the game in the process. Moving on. You're like, dude, how could someone be better than that? I know, like, that's how this felt. Try making a top 30 of your own. In fact, if you really want to, because I'm going to be checking all the comments, and remember, that's part of the competition for the to win the 6-star relic. Put your top 30 in the comments. I'm going to be on vacation. We'll be on the beach. I'm going to be on poolside. I'm going to be having a lot of fun with my family too, so I'm going to be doing that. But I'm going to come in for enjoyment and check comments, and because I enjoy all of that with you all, check it, and I'll enjoy reading them. It'll be really fun to see how people feel about your objective advice to other summoners. Try not to be biased and literally come up with a top 30. It's a very fun exercise. All right, moving on to number 3 is what I have called the perfect champion in MCoC. And I truly mean this. It is none other than Photon. She is a difficult defender. She is incredibly difficult. I wish I'm not going to go down that road. Placing those debuffs as you get the signature ability up, she turns off your willpower. It's nasty. Then she hits into your block just once, and you're like, dude, why did I just lose 10% of my health? But that's the fun of Photon. You can step her back, though. And that's it. That's what I love about her as far as a defender is concerned. It's part of what I love about Kindred as well, too, is you can skill your way through it. You absolutely can. I've done it before. I like using MCoC for her, because I'm able to utilize my skill and my step back. And then you manage her charges. And remember, you can parry the SP1. It's difficult, it's hard, but it is possible to do. And then offensively, she is handling, she can parry the non-contact attacks. She can go untouchable to create openings. Her medium attacks cannot miss. And then when she's in her pure light form, she just herself can't miss. So she's accounted for that. She does a tremendous amount of energy damage, which is very unique in her class. Most of it's physical damage. She has like these little suppressions, and she's got the Sunder off of the heavy. So she's a phenomenal Rintra counter. I've shown that to you, but now we've got 7-star Rintra. And then also, if you've got her awakened, she's immune to all neutralize. So a phenomenal Rintra counter, as we see him in Battlegrounds, War. I'm sure we're going to see him in Questing and all of those things. She is absolutely fantastic. I love her. She is a perfect, like, I mean this, she is a perfect champion in MCoC, like most of these are on this list. She's got tremendous utility. I love her. She's a champion I typically find, like I said with Weapon X, I find myself being willing to draft them, and I'm just happy to have them because things are going to work out a-okay. All right, then moving on. The next champion for this one is none other than Titania. She's bonkers. It always surprises me when anyone does make a negative comment about Titania. Like, they don't, like, if someone says they just don't enjoy her play, I was like, okay, that's fine, I get it. But they're like, she's not good. I'm like, okay, you're either just wanting attention, and I hope you find it somewhere because it ain't going to be here, or you're just highly uneducated about the game and you should watch a video. She is insane. She, again, goes unstoppable, unblockable, indestructible, passively. And she can then like speed up the cooldown with which that happens. That creates openings. It's a place for damage. It's a place for her to land her haymakers. It is there's just so much there. It's hard to explain all of it, because that's the thing is, And that's why I think it took us a while to catch on to her. I remember the first time I reviewed her and the first time in the playlist, I basically said all that and I was like, there's going to be a use for that. Well, it turns out there was. Remember, the heavy attack even has a stagger, so there's like some buff control there. If you use her light attacks, and you can see that's why I've pulled this up, it's the suppression. If you use your light attacks and you're smart with your combo, you can actually get to an SB3 before your opponent does. And if you're really good at it, you can have a haymaker for when you get to your special 3, land the first hit of that, and then all your debuffs land twice. Meaning your chances of the opponent not throwing their special because they've got the Intimidate on is that much higher. That's how I still have tremendous, relatively reliable success with her with the SB3 route. And if the health pool is larger, or if you can't go to your SB3, there was a fight recently where I couldn't go to SB3 with her. I don't remember what it was. But her SB1 and her SB2 actually work out phenomenally well together. Remember, the first hit of the SB1 has the non-stacking debilitate debuff, expending the duration of any new debuffs by 50%. So you throw that SB1, and then remember, she's constantly landing the debuffs, and they're all extended by 50%. And then you get to your special 2, inflicting the non-stacking physical vulnerability debuff, which will also be extended. And she does tremendous damage that way too, while simultaneously often going indestructible, unstoppable, and unblockable. Like, she was put together exceptionally well. It's not like the designers went and took like a bunch of abilities and threw them together and was like, here, good luck. It's designed well too. They all fit together. She's even a decent defender in Battlegrounds because she has a large health pool. And then again, indestructible, unstoppable, unblockable. You've got to play around it. And if you accidentally try to intercept it, you're screwed. And then it comes down. There's one champion. There's one champion to rule them all. I'm so glad that the time has gone by, because there used to be a time where I was like, I really think she is the best Mystic champion in the game, and I really think she's the best champion in the game. I'm not going to say it's not close. I'm not going to say that almost any champion in the top, I'd say 10-ish, has a good argument to be the number one. I'm not saying that you might think that someone else is different and you're wrong. I am not saying that. But I am saying that her argument to be number one, I think, is objectively just as good as anyone else's. And having played her more than any single champion I have in the game, and it's probably not close, I feel strongly that based on the defenders, then the nodes that Kabam throws at us, she is the best champion in the game. One of the most common threats of a fight, and it's involved in every single fight, is power. One of the most common threats, one of the most dangerous threats Kabam can throw at us is power gain. She doesn't need a debuff to stop it. All of her debuff, all of her power control relies on her with her heavy. You just have to land her heavy. Strikers, much like Crossbones, have made her significantly easier to play and significantly easier to get her loot, because you do eventually want to get up all of your dimensions, meaning you want to interrupt your heavies at various points. There's 3 hits in them. You want to take her into the fight you're taking her in for, where it's really important. You want to use that part of her kit and emphasize it. So if it's power control, land a few heavies. Let them finish off. We talk about this every year in videos, and we'll be doing it every 4th of July as I put out a 4th of July America Chavez video. She's bonkers. She's nuts. Every single thing, even her stun, is a passive. She is still my favorite Serpent counter, although I'm getting a lot better with Shothra and White Tiger, and they're more designed to stop Serpent. Everything resides in her kit. She is absolutely going to be on this, I think, for years, because something so material about the game and the way it functions would have to change to remove her from value. Because again, every single fight, and this is what I say about Mystics and part of why I love them so much, every single fight involves power. Whether it's the absence of power or the gain of power or how you gain power. She's bonkers. She's phenomenal. She is not broken. She can be shut off. It just doesn't happen very much. She's even got some great synergies with Kate Bishop and Spot. Check them out. And that was the top 30. That was my removing as much bias as I possibly could, removing as much bias towards the modes and nodes and things like that I play and I enjoy, and just getting out my advice. If the Illuminati tier list looked exactly like, well, if the Illuminati tier list didn't exist, and it was just me putting out my tier list every single month, this is what it would look like. Some of you are like, Thank God you've got the Illuminati. And you know what? I'm insanely grateful for them, and I'm so glad this shirt arrived just in time because they are awesome. And I am so grateful for each and every single one of them. All right. Let me know what you think you got right. Let me know what you think I got wrong. I'm looking forward to reading your own top 30, and then make sure you tune in just for a couple of days as we have the year-end December large update to the best champions to rank in MCoC, put together by none other than the Illuminati and myself. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.